Hey, you guys, wanted to talk to you guys about the border madness that's going on in the southern border. As a Haitian and someone who's in the of Haitian descent, seeing all those Haitians rushing the border makes me wonder two things. One, how did they get there? Because Haiti is like thousands of miles away from Mexico. So, how did they get from Haiti all the way to Mexico? I mean, there's no way they took a boat trip. I mean, that's a long boat trip, especially when Florida's right below Haiti. Like it's a lot easier to go through Florida than it is Mexico. So that, number one. Number two, the whole news coverage of the guy whipping on horseback whipping Haitians. One, it wasn't a whip; it was reins, and it's crazy how we haven't learned how to look things up by now. After all the fake news of 2020 and just the past 4 years, we still, as a society, hasn't learned to like not believe headlines when it pops up. It wasn't a whip; it was horse reins. And what most people don't know is that most of the people who are border patrol agents aren't even like they're not white. They're like most of them are Hispanic. These border patrol agents, and so it's like because I've heard people say that it's white supremacy what that guy on the horse did. That's a relic of old time slavery, whipping slaves or whatever, and it's couldn't be farther from the truth. It's ridiculous, and it's going to continue to be ridiculous because we are not a serious country. It's not, these Democrats aren't, because they talk all this big game about protecting yourself from COVID, yet they're letting all these migrants in. They're not even like testing them for vaccinations. So like that's right there is a crisis point. It's a super spreader event right there. We have a super spreader event right there at the southern border. Democrats don't say anything about that. That's why I don't take these mandates, these COVID instructions seriously. Because if the government was serious about it, they would call the southern border crisis what it is, a super spreader event, a super spreader event. And it's just frustrating the lack of consistency that I'm seeing by our government, the hypocrisy, the levels of hypocrisy by this administration, and the lies. No one's fact checking this administration the same way they fact check Donald Trump. It's such a double standard. It's glaring before anybody's eyes, but more than half the country just doesn't care. So it's like I can't even be too mad at the government because the people are okay. Half of the people are okay with what the government's doing. So it's just like, what do you do at this point? If the people don't care, how can I be mad about the government about doing what they're doing when half the people don't care? Half the citizens do not care at all. It's not the government, it's the people. The government, these politicians, they just do what the people who voted for them wants them to do. Or at least the people who vote for them don't care really what these politicians do as long as it's their guy in office. It's just a lack of consistency. And it's just ridiculous.